Now guys, when you think about who the worst people on the planet are, you gotta think to yourself, who is it? Are they Nazis? Are they like fucking communists? No, they're video game cheaters. People who cheat on video games, you guys fucking suck. Okay, that was a joke. I just want to make that clear. Everything I said right there was a joke. But cheating has actually gotten really bad in video games, like in GTA 5. There's Escape from Tarkov, Call of Duty, like, you know, all the big games that people like playing. Essentially, it's become a real problem. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because recently, Destiny 2 developer Bungie, as we all know, people who used to make Halo, now I think they're not too popular in the. I mean, okay, they're really popular, but people have not been happy with Bungie lately just because of Destiny 2 and the way it's been going. But in other news with Bungie in general, is that they have actually been suing cheat developers in the background. Right, that's something that most game developers don't necessarily do, but when they do it, it kind of just quickly like devolves into like, hey, okay, just take the money and go, and it usually just results in that specific cheat company getting shut down. And actually, if you look over here on GeekWire.com, this article is from 2023. It says that Bungie won suits this year against Aimjunkies and veteran cheats, which with courts awarding 4.3 million and 12 million respectively in damages to Bungie. So the one that we're going to be talking about today is actually Aimjunkies, because they essentially didn't stop there, right? Most companies would just be like, okay, yeah, I'm gone. I'm not making profit on this anymore. Don't mess with me anymore, please. I'm begging you. Don't run me through the shitter. Nintendo, please, God, please don't put me down, okay? Okay, we all know Nintendo's like a little litigious bastard, you know? They're always going after people just for like the little things, and they're like, no, stop it now. I know we're not selling those games anymore, and you can't access them anymore, but stop pirating them. Stop. Bad. So you know, you can clearly see my idea is about piracy. Let's be real here. But going back to this, Aimjunkies or Phoenix Digital LLC, they basically decided to fight back against their lawsuit, and they did lose 4.3 million. That was for sure. They didn't actually win that. But let's see what Aimjunkies really is, right? Let's go to their website, because they do have a website. If we go here, you can see like their basic website. It's kind of like it's just what it is, right? And you can see here they obviously take Bitcoin, and let's go ahead and read what Aimjunkies does. Aimjunkies offers cheats and mods that give a user an improved experience and advantage over the competition. We offer a long range of different cheats with the best customer service available. Aimjunkies is the first place to go for best cheating experience. So as you can see, they're really trying to, like, you know, they're advertising themselves here. Now, before we go through this, let's talk about, like, you know, what we feel about cheaters, right? So the people who actually buy these cheats, complete dog shit. You're gonna get 5 minutes of like happiness in your game before you get banned, and then you have to go pay another $5 to go feel happy again, because you know you're never gonna be good at the game. Just admit it, bro. Like, you know, that's the only reason why you would buy a cheat. You're like, okay, I just want to feel powerful for one. Like, you just need that little power grab in that game you fucking love, right? Like, instead of like just getting good at it, you're like, fuck you, bitch. I'm just gonna go cheat and then not get good at it and also be stupid and being an idiot, because that's just what cheaters do, you know. They're not the smartest people. But the people who develop these cheats, now it takes a good amount of work to develop cheats for a game, especially when you're going against a big company who has an anti-cheat attached to it. And of course, these anti-cheats do not deter these cheat developers. They're smart people, you can't deny that. You know, they're looking for vulnerabilities basically to access in these games and exploiting them. And you know that takes a good amount of work. You can't deny that. It's something you have to have like previous knowledge of, and then you got to work at getting good at. You got to see like all the little things you can like nitpick at in the code and all that stuff. You know, you got to give some respect to the cheat developers for that. But now there are obviously ones that kind of like ask for money in terms of when they create a cheat like that, and instead of like kind of going, hey, maybe we can find like a bounty system or something where they like, you know, pay it out, they end up going kind of like the let's just make more money off of this route. And sometimes there's other cheat developers that kind of just make it free, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, here you go. And those, okay, I'm gonna say this right now. Don't download any cheats, because there have been times where cheat developers have put in measures against people looking into their code, and whenever people would do that, the measures would activate, and it could be something as like malicious as just running ransomware or like deleting all your files, especially the important ones. It's like, you know, it's not, it's really just not worth it to download software from random people, essentially, right? Keep your computer safe, all right? Don't do that stuff. But let's go back to what Aimjunkies is. Went off a little tangent there. All right, but yeah, so we can go over here. Let's go see what like cheats they have. They also have packages: overdose premium package, overdose package. Okay, so like they're talking about overdosing, which is not a good thing, especially with junkies. But yeah, so if you go here, we can see that they have a lot of goddamn cheats for sale. You know, you keep going. There's a lot of games here. Most of them are pretty much multiplayer. Like if we go over here, okay, the one that I really want to see is if there's an escape from, there's E. Oh god, they have escape from Tarkov, guys. I actually want to check this real quick. Let's look at it. ETF player visual. Okay, we all know Escape from Tarkov, one of the top games being fucking cheated right now. Disgusting, and you know the developers aren't really doing too well right now either. Their decisions are kind of mid. So there's other games like, you know, it just kind of shows like how much of a problem it is. There's also Cyberpunk. Okay, they're doing single player games too. But yeah, it just kind of shows like how much of a problem it is in a lot of games, the popular ones. Basically, if it has multiplayer, you probably have like a cheat creator for it. Like another big one is like GTA 5. There's Ark Survival. I'm not sure if people cheat in Ark Survival. I haven't seen it myself, but Escape from Tarkov, Call of Duty. You know, there's basically the really big games that people like playing. You'll probably find cheaters in there. Valorant maybe, but I think Valorant's kind of been like actually cracking down in a completely different way. But yeah, it is what it is. So you can see like they have a lot of games here. Like it's kind of crazy. But let's go over to the actual story, right? I've been kind of rambling the entire time. So if we go over to courtlistener.com, this kind of like tracks like a trial. You can see that Aimjunkies was actually fighting back after their first lawsuit, and essentially they were saying like, hey, Bungie kind of accessed our stuff illegally. It wasn't the right way to do it, and essentially Bungie was kind of holding out the fact that they infringed on Bungie's copyright because they made cheats for the game. Now, initially this wouldn't be like kind of like the biggest deal because like, yeah, okay, they're gonna have a cheat developer, but this one became a big deal because it went to jury. And you can see here, if I zoom in for you guys, jury trial was held on May 21st. And if we go down here, another jury trial was held on May 22nd, May 23rd, and the jury verdict came out on May 24th. So you can see it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So it took 4 days to deliberate between the jury to find out, you know, hey, like, was it an infringement on copyright or was it not? And in fact, let's kind of go ahead and look at the facts that were stated in the actual court documents. So starting over here, let's go over here. So these are the facts that were kind of like displayed out into the trial. Destiny 2 is a shared first-person shooter. Of course, we can like skip all this stuff. This is like all the boilerplate. Bungie owns all rights, title, and interest in the copyrights to Destiny 2. And let's go over here. This is where the stuff gets kind of spicy. Schaefer, Green, and Conway formed and became equal 1/3 owners of Phoenix Digital. Phoenix Digital is the people who owns that Aimjunkie site that we saw, this one right here. If we go back, Schaefer, Green, and Conway each had full control and authority to manage Phoenix Digital while they were members. Schaefer personally controlled every aspect of the sale of cheat software, including communicating with cheat software developers, deciding whether or not to sell a cheat. On or around December 17th, 2019, Phoenix Digital began distributing the first version of cheat software with only the ESP feature, Extra Sensory Perception. Then they also dropped the aimbot and one position kill. And the cheat software ESP allows users to see Destiny 2 other Destiny players and NPCs through solid walls by displaying a distinct box around other players. So it's just aimbot, and you can see people do walls essentially, and you can see like this was all written in a court document, which is kind of like it's kind of crazy to me because like you're seeing like gamer terms and like lawyer jumbo mumbo and all that stuff, and it's all mixed up. It's just kind of crazy. And it says the cheat software's OPK feature allows cheaters to either respawn at or teleport to the same space in Destiny 2, so that the cheaters' abilities would be more effective at defeating those opponents, accelerate the rate at which cheaters accumulate awards and accolades. Accolades. You gotta get the accolades. So yeah, those are kind of like the facts that were kind of shown. I mean, these are like some of the basic ones. It has nothing to do with like actual defending of things that like Bungie were claiming or the defendants were claiming, people from Aimjunkies. And if we see here, if we go down to aimjunkies.com again, if we go down to D, you see that Destiny 2 is no longer on here. I think as of today, probably. I wonder if we can even if we can look back at the site real quick. Okay, so I try to go ahead and look back to see if there was any like web pages saved, but it seems that it was actually excluded from the Wayback Machine, which is kind of sad. So we can't actually kind of go back. But I'm assuming that Destiny 2 was actually over here, but it's not anymore. And we can go over here. And so now we can go ahead and discuss what the jury thought. This is like their actual like deliberations, right? This is like what they were like, okay, after deliberations are done, these are our results. So do you find for Bungie on its theory of direct copyright infringement as to any defendant or defendants? You can see here that they wrote yes for everyone, including, so these people are all like kind of like part of Phoenix Digital LLC, and essentially they're marking it so that they're like, hey, these guys, as a result of their cheat creation and selling those cheats, particularly selling those cheats, that's an important thing, they have done copyright infringement, essentially. And if we go down here, do you find for Bungie on its theory of vicarious copyright infringement? Essentially, there's like different types of copyright infringement, and they're kind of going through it. And they just essentially did yes for that, and also the contributory copyright infringement, they also said yes to that. And so if we go over here, we see how much they were actually like fined for this specific one. So remember, if we go back, initially it was the 4.3 million. That's what they first essentially said, like, hey, these are the damages that you did, 4.3 million. But this one is based solely on the actual profits that they gained, the revenue. You see here that the jury wrote 20K from Phoenix Digital, then 10,802 and 50 cents to be exact, 50 cents, don't forget that. And they kind of stacked that up, and I think it was about like $63,000 or something. I think it ended up to that, and that was rewarded to Bungie. You know, it's kind of like a drip in their massive wealth. And then they stated, do you find for defendant James May on a circumvention of technological measures counterclaim against Bungie? No. So essentially what this one is that they claimed that Bungie essentially accessed some hard drives on Aimjunkies side illegally. And they essentially stated no. They were like, no, they didn't do that. You guys actually, so in the court documents, they're like, yeah, hey, you guys actually like deleted stuff. And if we go over here, we can actually see that real fast. Spoliation of evidence. Here we go. So you can see here that let's see it. The Phoenix Digital defendants intentionally took steps to delete or otherwise render inaccessible this relevant evidence after their duty to preserve evidence triggered, and did so with an intent to deceive Bungie or otherwise interfere with Bungie's ability to proceed to trial. So you can see they were defendant James May wiped 4 hard drives that he alleges Bungie improperly accessed in relation to the suit, and he had a duty to preserve it, but they destroyed it essentially. So and they even say here, you may presume that the records and information deleted, destroyed, or otherwise rendered inaccessible by defendants' intentional actions after their duty to preserve evidence arose were unfavorable to defendants. So you can be like, hey, because they deleted it, they look like use that. You can use that as evidence, as you know, they were doing something malicious. You're allowed to do that. So what's going to happen now after this? If we go over here to Stephen Todolito, who kind of like broke the news, he stated that Phoenix Digital founder David Schaefer, who was the guy that we saw in the lawsuit earlier, tells Steven that his group will fight this moving to dismiss the verdict, and if that fails, and they'll try to appeal. This dispute here is whether Bungie truly proved a copyright violation occurred Statement from James Barker, who are Bungie's lawyers. We are grateful for this diligence, professionalism, and care exercised by the judge, his staff, and the jury. We're committed to our players and will continue to protect them against the cheats, including taking this and future cases all the way to trial. Re-adding this note from me, Steven. Game companies have been getting default rulings against cheat makers for years, often with giant multi-million-dollar awards. This is a rare case where cheat makers pushed back and said their actions weren't illegal, and it was left for a jury to decide. It's like what I said earlier too. It's different from the other lawsuits, as Steven stated too, because we went to jury with this, right? And because it went to jury, it can now be used as precedent in other cases which are similar, right? And essentially, now that this is here, and even if like David Schaefer and his group end up trying to dismiss the verdict and trying to appeal, if that doesn't go through either, essentially like most paid cheat creators in America and any like country that you can sue people at from America, they're pretty much gone, right? Like you're not going to be making money off of this because of this jury case specifically. But even before, like it was kind of easy to get these cheat developers kind of out of there, but you have to like specifically go out and sue every specific one of them, which is kind of like the thing that Bungie decided to end up doing anyways. Now, what does this mean exactly for the future, right? Personally, it's a little fuzzy just because it's copyright, right? They're claiming that the cheats infringe on copyright. That's a hard thing, right? Because now we have to think about like what is a cheat, right? Like what counts as a cheat? Now something that I'm thinking about is like, can single player game developers go after people who are like modders, right? Does that count as cheats? Now I personally don't think you have to worry about that at all. It's just kind of like a shower thought. I'm like, huh, okay. But yeah, like another thing too is that like this case just, it sets precedent. So we'll have to wait and see in the future to see how this case is kind of used in other similar cases, and to see if they might even like try to like abuse it in other cases, right? There's always that possibility, because you never know what to expect with these big companies. But sometimes they'll try some fuck shit. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, let's do it for the people. Now overall, it's definitely good for the people, but what this doesn't affect is cheat developers outside of countries that the United States can't touch, right? Like you can't sue someone in Russia for creating a cheat and then selling it, right? And that's not going to stop those people at all, right? And at the end of the day, what's going to have to stop those people are the anti-cheat developers, which is also like a thankless job. It's you're basically fighting against people who are fighting against you, right? It's kind of like this. It's a tug of war between cheaters and anti-cheaters. It's a crazy thing. But yeah, in the end, I hope it's a good thing for cheaters. It's gonna definitely reduce it in America, right? It's gonna reduce it in countries where Americans can reach it, like I said earlier, and that's kind of about like what we can hope for the most part. And we'll see how everything like pans out. But what I'm predicting is that the sales of cheats is gonna go way down. Maybe there's gonna be a little bit of like a boost in like free cheats, but also like, there's not a lot of incentive to make free cheats, right? Because most people are like, I don't really fucking care. I'm making cheats to make money. And so I suspect that it's going to bring that down a lot. But I also suspect that the foreign cheat creators, right, the ones that the United States can't touch, they're going to get a little more prevalence now that this precedent is essentially here. But yeah, now this video is getting it's getting a little too long for my tastes. But yeah, if you guys like what you saw, drop a like. If you disliked it, drop a dislike. Drop a subscription too while you're at it. And yeah, if you guys have any thoughts, or if you guys have any like information on like how this might affect maybe like single player games, how it might affect modders if possible, or if this is just kind of specific to people who create cheats on online video games. Like, is it specific to that? Is it not? Those are questions I'd like to get answered too. But yeah, Thank you guys for watching. We've gone for too long. I gotta learn how to end these videos because I love talking. I'm a fucking talker. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Peace. I'm gonna stop doing that. No more fists.